So not only do you have the dynamic of Kel leaving and the hurt feelings there, you have this guy coming on board that you'd spent basically every waking moment for the past 4 or 5 years trying to whoop, and him talking about you and you talking about him. And what was the reaction to Darrell Waltrip coming on board at first?
Disappointment.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And from my personal standpoint, I was disappointed because, number one, I did not like Darrell and his attitude. Number two, I thought there was somebody out there that was better than Darrell and would have fit in better than what Darrell wound up than he was in my book at the beginning.
Yeah.
All right? I understand I'm saying all stuff at the beginning because I knew Dale Earnhardt. I grew up watching him race. I'd known his dad, Ralph. They'd worked on our dirt cars. And there was a lot of personal stuff that I would go, even when Kel was racing for us, I had a good rapport with Dale. We had a real unique moment in '79, for example. He was driving for Rod Osterling. We were at Bristol, and it was raining. So, obviously, we weren't practicing. Came lunchtime, Dale comes over and said, "Hey, Hammond, you got a car?" I said, "No, why?" He said, "I was hoping you had a car. We'd run over to this Chinese joint down the road here and get something to eat." I said, "Well, hang on here a second. Let me see what Junior's got going on. Maybe we can use his car." And Junior had, big 78, 79 Impala, 4-door. That's what used to drive back and forth to the racetrack. So he said, he said, "Yeah, if y'all want to use it, go ahead. Y'all just be careful." I said, "Okay." Didn't think nothing about it. Got the keys. Went back, told Earnhardt. I said, "Earnhardt." And I think I said, "Hey, Ironhead, I got keys. We gonna go?" He said, "Yeah, let's go." So me, Dale, Doug Richard, Lula Rosa. I'm trying to think now. There's one other boy. One other boy worked for Austin. Because I was in the front seat, gave Earnhardt the keys, which was not very smart on my part, but he knew where he was going and I didn't.
Yeah.
So we get in the car. We go to the Chinese restaurant, which is back over with us off now, 80, 81 over there. And we eat. No big deal. But the deal going over there, Earnhardt was doing his little bit of playing. And the place had some almost like road course type moments, going to Bristol, or something. I'm trying to say. It's curves, a lot of curves. So Earnhardt's sliding the Junior's car around and just cackling and carrying on like he always does. We ate and we got ready to go back. He said, "You drive." "Why you want me to drive?" He said, "I want you to drive. I want you to drive like I did going back to the racetrack, see if you can keep up with what I did." So, okay. I get goaded into it, and we're going through the mountains there, and I'm jacking it around a little bit. Come on, man, let it hang out a little bit. Let it hang out a little bit here. Let it hang out a little bit here. So we get up to, was basically a left turn, 90 degree, going back. The road goes straight back to the racetrack. And he said, "Picture in there. Picture in there. Come on, show me something. Show me something." So I picture in there, and I'm sliding. Get in the gas, get in the gas, get in the gas. I get in the gas, and it's starting to come back around. All right, turn it back to left, turn it back to left. And I got behind on the steering. Well, it comes around a little bit. Oh, now back right, and back left, back right. Get up. Don't touch the brake. We get sideways, long story short, goes off the embankment. And we weren't going that fast, but I get it almost stopped, but it's still going faster than I could get it stopped. But I nose it off down the edge of the embankment into a creek.
Junior. Now, is this Junior's personal car or is this a loaner?
This is a dealer car. This is a dealer car, not Junior's personal, but
okay, all right.
So I stick it over off the edge of the road and down in the creek. And Earnhardt's all up in the windshield. I'm hanging on the steering wheel, and these other guys, I heard them hollering in the back. And it went over fast enough that I believe it was Lula Rosa. He went up and actually hit the light, that the dome light in the roof.
Yeah.
And cut his head. he's bleeding. We're sticking down over in the deal, and we all start scrambling to get out, and we get out. And we're sitting there with the rear tires off the ground.
Now, is this the spring or the fall? At Bristol?
Spring.
Okay.
Because spring, still spring. And, I mean, 2 minutes after we crashed, all right, I'm looking, everything, I mean, doors open and shut, no big deal there. I don't see the front wheels wrinkled up or nothing. But we're stuck. What are we going to do? Didn't have cell phones. I didn't have cell phones now. And lo and behold, that intersection, Earnhardt looks and says, God damn, look what's coming. Local sheriff. Earnhardt, out of his mouth, just like he had planned it. Just remember, big white dog run out. Big white dog run out. Big white dog run out in front of you. Okay, big white dog run out in front of us. Then what? He waves the policeman down, and he's over there talking to him. He comes back over to us, and especially to me. He says, just calm down. He bought the story, big white dog. He's going to take me back to track. I got 4-wheel drive pickup truck, and I got a chain in the back. He said, we'll get it took care of. All right. It seemed like it was all day. We waited and waited and waited, and fortunately it quit raining. So it was, but sitting there waiting. Here comes Earnhardt back, hooked the chain to it, 4-wheel drive, popped it right back out of there, no problem. The only thing that I'd done to the car, I had broke the right front headlamp, because that's back when I had this big steel bumpers and everything like that. And I had shoved the grill piece back a little bit. That was it. I'm sitting there thinking, oh, dear God, thank you. Get in the car. He said, I see you back at the track. So I'm running speed limit. Ain't doing no shenanigans. Get back to the racetrack and park the car in such a way Junior can't see the right front headlight on it. So, I mean, I know that I got to go tell him. Well, I start walking up to him. And first thing come out of Junior's mouth, what the hell did you do? Earnhardt could not wait when he got back to the track to tell him that I had wrecked it.
Earnhardt sold you out.
He did. He threw me under the bus and backed up to make sure he didn't miss. Yeah. But no, I told Junior, I said, this is what I did. He said, but don't you know not let that boy talk you into trouble? I said, nope. Guess not. So, I mean, I wound up paying to get the car fixed. But
so that was the spring of '79.
Yep.
At Bristol.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes on to win his first race that weekend.
Yep.
Really?
Yep. And because of that personal relationship, I mean, Dale and I, he spent nights at my house before him and Teresa got married.
Okay.
I knew the guy.
Yeah.
I knew he could drive. And I liked him. He was Dale, who was also a smartass and cocky, but he did it in a funny way. And Darrell, on the other hand, to me, was always sarcastic. And I always felt like when he was being a smart ass, he was being demeaning. And I'd seen some of the verbal exchanges between him and Cale. And Cale walked on water in my world. Darrell didn't.
Yeah.
And so him coming there and us not taking Dale Earnhardt, it hurt my feelings.
Was that something that had actually been discussed pretty seriously?
Pretty seriously, because, he wanted to come and drive, for Junior. And that had been brought up.
But he had a contract with Oster.
No, he was going to be where you could get him. All right, he was going to be available in 1981.
Okay.
All right. I actually went to Junior and asked him. I heard you're talking about taking Darrell. Why ain't you taking Earnhardt? He said, let me tell you something. He said, I've been around this sport a long time. Earnhardt hasn't crashed enough cars to be what I need.
Really?
I need somebody that needs the money, and he's learned by losing, and that's what Darrell had lost a couple of championships. 79, he lost that championship.
Yeah.
And 80 come close again. Darrell's ready. Dale's not. Even though Earnhardt won the championship, he's not ready to do what I need to do. He explained to me just like it. He's not crashed enough cars yet. And I think he saw the same thing in Cale Yarborough when he brought him back, and picked him up and put him in that number 11. Cale was ready. Darrell's ready. He was right and I was wrong. Personal can't get in the way of business, and that's what Junior was all about. I need somebody that can go out, and if we enter 28 races, he can bring it home, 26, 27 times, because I'm going to build a race car that'll allow him to do that, and I need him to be smart enough to know how to do it. A lesson, once again, from Junior Johnson University. If you work with Junior long enough and you listen to what he says and what he doesn't say, and listen to some of the people that are around him, you can learn a lot about the do's and don'ts. And I think that his entire career, especially his professional career of being not the driver but being the owner, stands out as much as anything, because he was usually pretty dang in tune and pretty sharp on the right moves at the right time.
So you're not fully on board with Darrell coming on board with
Hell
the team?
No.
How long did it take you to become convinced? Because he gets in that car, and there's no other way to put it. He put a whooping on the field right out of the box.
I didn't get along with Darrell early enough in 81 that Junior thought best, and it started happening too, especially when we were gone to the downsized cars.
Yeah.
And at that time, we only used to have, like I say, a speedway car and a everywhere else car, too. Wow. And we knew that we were still going through a lot of improvements. So where I'm going with this is, I didn't like Darrell, and it kind of shone. Because anytime Darrell would say something that made it sound like he was smarter than the rest of us, I was usually pretty quick to come back with, well, we didn't need it with Cale. We didn't run it like that. Darrell wanted to change stuff. He wanted it his way. And I just wanted to do it, Junior's way. And I think Junior realized, because at one time, we had a couple races there that we didn't do as well as we should have. And we were getting behind, Bobby and everything. So, again, long story short, Junior came to me and he says, I'm gonna start leaving you at home until the weekend, till Sunday. I need you to come in on Sunday, pick the car and everything. He said, I need you to stay here and work on these new cars, and which we did. We were trying to turn cars out. So I've got a picture we took at Junior's one time, and we had like 5 or 6 cars. That's when we built the designated road course car for Riverside. Yeah. And we built a special short track car. So we were building specialty cars as we were progressing in 81. And nobody else was doing that to the degree we were. And he was working with Banjo Matthews, and Banjo was developing, some little tricks to the car to make it drive better, because Darrell would talk to him about, this is what this feels like. When you narrow the tread width up as much as we did in 81, based off of NASCAR's rules, we didn't have the big wide Monte Carlos, which were just very forgiving and very drivable. The narrower tread width was really a handful. So all this, technology that we were doing with Banjo and Chevrolet and Buick, I should say General Motors, was needed to be implemented. So I was helping get it ready. But I still went to the racetrack every weekend and pitted a car. I was on the pit crew. The success was there. We were developing a better organization as far as developing cars. That was there. And in the process of all this, and I think part of it was also because of our fan base. I remember, even though we won the race at Richmond, a guy coming over was up outside the victory lane, and he was cussing Darrell up a blue blaze.
Yeah.
And he said something about Junior, and Junior started to go outside after him. And I never will forget, he said, and the guy backed off. Junior, I want to talk to you. I'm sorry. I didn't really mean to say it like that. He said, I just love Cale, and I hate that guy you got driving for you. He said, well, you better not include me into it. That's all I can tell you. He's my driver, and that's just the way it's going to be. So get over it.
Wow.
And we were trying to get the fans to quit booing Darrell to the point that we used to have Mountain Dew hats that they give to us, and we throw them up in the grandstands as we pushed the car out on the line because we got booed. And we pushed that number 11 out. And with Cale, it was the opposite.
Yeah.
And you put the 11 up there then, I mean, everybody cheered for Cale, but everybody booed at Darrell. So we tried this philosophy, okay, with nothing else, we'll kill them with kindness. You know, we'd have like 8 or 10 guys there, so we'd all throw our hats up in there, and somebody else would bring another 6 or so, and we'd throw them up in the grandstand back in the day. The fence wasn't that high at a lot of racetracks. So places like Wilkesboro and Martinsville, it was easy to do. So as we went along, where I'm going with this is that I started to understand that philosophy of why Darrell worked you so hard trying to get the car set up the way he needed it, especially then. And if you gave it to him, he'd give you the result. So understanding his prowess and the reason behind him, even though he didn't maybe deliver the information the way you wanted to hear it, you started appreciating the success. And the end of the year, I bought in. I had bought in and understood what was going on. Because of that success in 81, you know, we actually lost Harold Elliott, our lead engine guy, and Tim Brewer, Ed Thrapp, and I think there was one other person, like 4 people left. And, you know, Junior was looking for somebody to come in and replace Brewer and them as far as that was concerned. And I went in the office one night, asked Junior to give me a shot.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I talked to my dad about it. He said, you think you can handle it? I said, I don't know. I said, I've been on that radio listening with Junior for quite a while, listening to Tim, listening to Travis Carter. I'd like to think I can. I said, but I need to raise my hand here before somebody comes in and takes that position. So Junior talks to Darrell, and I guess Darrell saw that, you know, I changed my attitude toward him a little bit. He was willing to give it a shot. But to make sure that we didn't make too big of a mistake, we brought in Doug Richard. Doug had already won a championship with Osterlin. Mike Hill. Mike had been recommended from, I'm trying to remember his name, out of South Carolina, where Mike's from. And I think Banjo knew him. So I didn't really know Mike, but I did know Doug. Well, Junior put us in there and said, okay, we're going to do kind of like a tri-captain deal.
Yeah.
And as we went along through the year, we worked well together, but, you know, Darrell started kind of looking at me as more or less the captain of the 3. And that's where, by the end of the year, I had been kind of elevated to lead dog and worked 82. We backed up what 81 was all about and moved on in 83. And I was declared, crew chief, officially on everything.
How much pressure did you feel to live up to the kind of success that the team had had?
I don't want to be cocky, but none.
Really?
People need to understand, Jeff Hammond in the record says that I was crew chief, but you got to understand, I might have been the crew chief, but that owner of ours is the final word.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there's a lot of things when you work for Junior, you didn't always do like a lot of leaders or boss men do, of saying that's don't do it that way, do it this way. His methodology was always, he'd walk by, and if he didn't like what you were doing, He said, "Are you sure that's the right way? Or you want to rethink that?" And he'd keep going. He didn't always stop and tell you how to do it. He'd let you figure it out. He'd make you know you need to change something. And same way with the crew chief and deal. If I'm listening to Darrell and I'm thinking this is what he wants, this is what he needs, I didn't make that change without clearing it through the head man. I mean, Junior would guide. And a couple of times early when I was crew chief, I remember I was going to do something, kind of pull some strategy off, and Junior said, "No. You don't want to stretch that fuel right now. It's too early in the race. If you miss it, you're going to be behind all day. You're not going to get caught back up." And he overemphasized, don't go for something until the reward is worth it, which usually meant a win in his book. You don't gamble until you know you're gambling on a win. Not to lead a lap and get, win a boat. Like a lot of times they give a bonus for leading the most laps at halfway or whatever. Well, that may have meant we need to run 3 or 4 extra laps to do it. That ain't worth it in his book. He wants to win, he wants the points, and he wants the money at the end of the day for the big prize. Not the little prizes, the big prize. And that pretty much, was ingrained in my mind throughout the rest of my career from that point on, is that I would clear it through him. I'd get signal of approval or whatever. I'd call Darrell and implement it, execute it, and we go on. So
you and Darrell eventually developed a pretty close working relationship. At what point did you feel like you and he were on the same page after that pretty rocky start?
Really early on.
Okay.
Because, I humbled myself and realized that my job, and I think it was one of the reasons why maybe Junior realized this and was willing to give me this opportunity, is that Darrell needed somebody to holler at. Darrell needed somebody to holler at him in the way of supporting, make him seem like he was bigger than life. And the days that it was going bad, he needed somebody that would take all the verbal abuse he'd dish and remember that whatever was said on Sunday was forgot on Monday. You never took it personal. It was just that heat of the moment, and that's what I'm here for. Throw me out, throw me everything you got, all the crap you got, just empty it on me. Don't take it out on the guys, take it out on me.
Wow.
And that's the way I always worked, with him, and accepted what he gave me, because in the end, you get him zoned back in and get him off that edge, he get right back in the groove, and you had a good day. I do remember one incident we had going on. I think it was at a Wilkesboro race. I remember Darrell was going off, and he was going off like Darrell can go off, and Junior said something to him over the radio, and Darrell fired back at Junior.
Wow.
Which you don't do. And Darrell and I laugh about this, but I saved Darrell's life that day. Because I heard what he said.
Yeah.
And Junior wheeled around at me and said, "What in the hell did he say?" And I changed what he said. I knew that if I didn't get between these two, that he was going to be waiting on Darrell when he come into pits. I mean, I already witnessed one time where Darrell got to run his mouth, and Junior came back and told him one day about the car and everything, and he was trying to run the pits from the driver's seat. And he said, "Darrell, you want to run these pits, you want to drive his race car? Because if you want to run these pits, bring your ass in here now." So it's like, that was a mild brush up.
Now, was that the 81, 82 time frame, or was that maybe afterwards?
No, it was during the early time.
Okay.
It was during the early time because, Darrell, I think at that point had gotten by with it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I just think that, Junior put him in his place. And because Junior had Darrell owing him money because he bailed him, helped him get out of the die guard deal. And at the same time, he'd already given Darrell wins like he had never had before.
Yeah.
And I think that, that Darrell was also being reined in. And that was, I think, going back to the reason why we had Darrell driving rather than Earnhardt driving. I think Junior felt like I can rein Darrell back in. I can keep him in check. And he did. I mean, if you look at his career, I mean, he had the most successful years in a short run that anybody could ever want.
Yeah.
So it's all because I think everybody respected Junior. And at the same time, if you don't respect your elder, you better respect your better, because he could still jerk your knot into you if he had to. I've seen him do it to a couple people, and I never would want to be on the receiving end of it.
1983, Darrell got in a pretty serious crash during the Daytona 500 and got pretty banged up. How much of an impact did that have?
That's the reason why we didn't win, I think, a repeat and have 3 in a row was because of that. I did not realize until about 2000 when we lost Dale Earnhardt, how severe Darrell's injury was. But it really put a spotlight for me on both those incidents of what closed head injuries can really do. In Darrell's case, I mean, he had a severe concussion. I mean, let me back up here a minute. When he crashed, I'm calling him on the radio, and he's not answering. And from my vantage point, I could see him slumped over the wheel. And all I could think about was Bill Dennis. I could think about one other driver that Jerry Punch, basically saved by going out there on the racetrack. So I ran all the way down where I'm looking straight across at the car where it stopped up almost in a tri-oval on pit road. And when everything slowed down, I ran to the car. I was the first person to the car, not safety workers, me. And I went in from the passenger side, didn't have windows in them like we do today, and Darrell was slumped over the wheel. And I'm calling him by name, Darrell, talk to me. And I'm trying to say, and I could hear him, he was knocked out. I mean, he was definitely knocked out. And I would say, from the time he crashed to the time I got to him, 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes, something like that. I mean, that's knocked out pretty darn serious.
Yeah.
And I get in there with him, make sure he's okay, not bleeding anywhere, and he's starting to finally kind of come around. And I didn't want to grab him because I've had EMT training. I was trying to wait on the rescue workers. More importantly, I just want to make sure he's breathing.
Yeah.
And he was breathing. They got there and they got the cervical collar on him and started getting him ready to get out of the car. They didn't have the means of cutting the roof off. And fortunately, they put the cervical collar on him and got him out and got him on the stretcher. And he was starting to come around. I never will forget the field had come by with a pace car. And he was saying, what happened? What happened? Oh, it must be raining. And it was a speedy dry hitting him on the face. He thought it was raining. That's the reason why he crashed.
Wow.
But I got in an ambulance with him, and he, it took him a while. He said, where am I? And I said, you know who I am? No. Who are you? And I'm telling him. And so it's like from the ride from there to the infield care center, he came back around a little bit. But I think we went approximately 3 races into the season that he finally could remember a race.
And he didn't even miss any time.
Didn't miss any. Well, you couldn't say anything. If you were injured, you were out.
Yeah.
And you didn't get no freebies.
Yeah.
Winning a race didn't give you no guarantee to the end of the year. What points you left on the board, you left them on the board.
Did you have relief drivers?
None.
Standing by?
None. He covered it up as good as anybody I think ever has.
Wow.
I mean, what was going on in front of him, he could deal with.
Yeah.
But could he remember what went on afterwards? No.
It's
scary.
Yeah.
It's very scary.
That's incredible.